Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this episode of One-on-One. My guest tonight, you've seen him many times on HTV. You've seen him many times during emergency situations here in the area. Well, it's time we go a little bit behind the scenes and talk with Earl Eues. He's been such a big part of our community. He serves on a lot of boards here in the area, so we decided to get him on One-on-One. It's all next. One-on-One is brought to you by the Law Office of Waits and Downer. Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. You pick up on personalities. Is that sort of what you mentioned? Leadership role. You're on the board at Terrebonne General, United Way. What was the other one?
St. Vincent de Paul.
St. Vincent de Paul Pharmacy. Did you learn how to be a leader? Did you watch your parents? Anybody specifically made you start thinking about that, or is that just your personality?
No, my leadership skills were learned through my father. He was always in leadership roles in different organizations and always took a lead in getting things done throughout in Patterson. So he taught me a lot about that. He also taught me a lot about how to deal with people and to know that everybody is different. Mm-hmm. So you have to treat everyone differently as far as what their mood may be today and what it may be tomorrow, and just understand that everybody has issues, and something may be bothering them today. Mm-hmm. That's making them angry, but they're not like that all the time. Mm-hmm. And just to kind of learn through that. But my father taught me a lot about leadership, made me read some books when I was younger that helped me out. So I kind of grew with that.
But he must have seen something. Dads don't just go hand a kid a book, especially if they don't think they have it in them. He must have saw something.
Well, I'll tell you, and we talked about this just a few weeks ago. If you remember, if you was in Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, they used to have a book called Boy's Life.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the back of that book, they used to have things on how you can raise money. One of the things was like selling Christmas cards. And another thing was like selling seeds, like vegetable seeds and flower seeds. I would always do that. I would always get my Christmas card packaging, and I'd go door to door and knock on people's door in the neighborhood and say, Miss Smith, raising a little money.
$2.
Would you like to buy some Christmas cards? And kind of taking a role of trying to make some money on my own. I always kind of like to have my own money. And then, like I said, at 15, I went to work right away as soon as I could. But I would go all over the neighborhood selling all of these little different things and making my own money. And part of doing that is responsibility. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest things my father taught me was responsibility and how to take responsibility for doing things and things that you have done.
Accountability.
That's correct. That's
you make the mistake, you own it.
That's correct. I had a great childhood, growing up and belonging to organizations. I think when you belong to organizations my father would say, hey, you might want to take a leadership role in there. You might want to become the treasurer or the secretary or whatever, that it helps you as you grow up.
So you were at Thibodeau Regional, then your wife later goes to Terrebonne General, but y'all moved to Terrebonne Parish. You've sort of watched the town grow.
We have. I remember the only thing on Martin Luther King was Rex Appliances, I think it was called. So we have seen tremendous growth in this parish, and which has been good for us.
Were you an only child, or you had siblings?
No, I had siblings. I have an older sister. She lives in Katy, and then I have and then I'm the second child. I have a brother that's deceased, my younger brother, and then I have a younger sister. She still lives in Patterson. So we still have family in that area.
Yeah. So Patterson to Houma, and I'm not demeaning Patterson, but wasn't Patterson mostly sort of farm area? What was the main thing? Was it plants?
It was, there's lots of sugar cane farmers were there.
Yeah.
That was the biggest industry, I guess, right there in Patterson. But we were tied to the oil and gas industry too.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So that was like a neighborhood area for McDermott when McDermott had 2,500 people working over there in Amelia.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like a bedroom community for that area, people would go there and they would work for McDermott and in the other oil field areas too. So during the downfall of the oil field, Patterson was affected.
How big was
also.
Patterson, or is Patterson?
When I was growing up, it had about 5,000 people. It's probably close to maybe 6,000 or 5,500. It hasn't really grown that much.
Yeah, I remember it being small, especially when Vanderbilt would play Patterson. But for the amount of people they had in Patterson, they sure had a good football team.
They did, and they had a good following. And you know, we always say who that started in Patterson. So you know, we kind of tell people that all the time. So yeah, they may think it started somewhere else, but we think it started in Patterson.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
When you first took over the emergency preparedness, I've seen this so much, Earl. I think Mr. Jason Basro might be my 8th or 9th parish president. But when I saw Bobby Lines become the first parish president, because that's when they started the charter, and I watched him do something. Then I watched the next one try to, and this is for Dwayne behind the camera, try to one-up him a little bit. And then I saw the next one try to one-up. And even today, you will see parish president, not in a bad way, but God, Michelle Claudia did this, so the next one will go, well, I got to do this. And I'm sure Jason's going to say, well, I got to go this route. In your realm, you better one-up a lot of people because you got a lot of responsibility. I'm sure that weighs heavy on you that the whole Terrebonne Parish is relying on your word. We call in you during storms and saying, all right, Earl, give us an update. Do this, do that. That's a large responsibility.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I tell everybody I'm kind of like just kind of steering the ship, making sure it goes in the right direction, and we continue to move forward. We have a lot of great people. I have about 56 people that stay in that EOC every 12 hours. So they switch out every 12 hours. So that's 112 people that are coming in and out of that building. Those are the movers and the shakers. Those are the ones that are getting the work done and making sure that we're progressing forward. And I can remember the first time I had to open the EOC and run the EOC, and it was under the Sheriff Bourgeois at the time, when we moved to South Central Planning, remember? So we set up that organization and the ESF manager, and the first thing out of my mouth was, we're going to take baby steps, okay? And we're going to do a little bit today, and then we're going to do a little bit tomorrow, and as we move on through the weeks, we'll start, you know, taking larger steps and then begin walking like back to normal. And that's what we did. And every day, and I still do the same thing, is I want to know what good we did today. Okay, what have we done good to bring this parish back from, you know, during Ida, you know, bring it back to where we need to be. And starting out by everybody giving their story of what they did good or what's taking place that is good, it makes for an atmosphere of everybody wanting to move forward and continue to move forward. It is a lot of weight, you know, and I worry about a lot of things, but It's the staff. It's the people in that office that make sure and takes care of everything that needs to be done. And they all have plans. They all have pre-plans of what we're going to do. And it doesn't always work by the plan. And I've always said about my job and working in our EOC, if you're not flexible and you do not bend, you're going to break.
You should be in the TV business. That's the same scenario. Every day is different.
Yeah, and we're going to run into issues and obstacles and bumps, and we just need to get over those, write them down, make sure that when we do our after-action review, we review those and we try to make it better for the next storm, that we don't do the same thing. And one of the biggest things I tell them also is that no decision is the wrong decision. So if there's something big that's coming in and you really don't know what to do with it or how to work with that issue, just don't set it aside because it's never going to go away. You got to make a decision. And as long as we don't hurt anyone or kill anybody with the decisions that we make, it's okay. If we made the mistake on that decision, we can always go back and fix it.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Me and you have been in different scenarios for many of the hurricanes, but Gustav came through. It's a pretty good one. Came right over HTV. I remember seeing the purple, the deep purple. And I remember telling the crew, we were on the desk, and I'm saying, batting the hatches down. Boy, I heard noise going all over outside. And I thought our archive sheds were rolling around everywhere. So during one of our breaks, I asked one of the camera people to go outside and see how the archive sheds are. I said, archive sheds are fine. I went, thank God. But our antenna fell. Big old antenna at M&L came crumbling down. And I thought that was a bad one. But Hurricane Ida retaught me what monster hurricanes are. I hear now, maybe you can confirm this, that I hear they're thinking about putting a Category 6.
They are. It's going to take a few years for them to do enough research and to figure out if they really need a Category 6. If they go to Category 6, what that tells me is people are going to say, well, it's just a Category 3. Okay? It's half of what a Category 6 is. Yeah. So when a Category 3 comes, people won't evacuate or leave. So, I believe that leaving it at 5 makes that Category 3 still a strong major hurricane.
Yeah. I mean, anything over 5 is, during a 5, most people, especially after Ida, are saying, I got to go, or I better live in a cement bunker. So you're right, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's all very bad.
That's correct. When I talked to a lot of people after Ida that stayed, and they all like, man, I'm not staying again. I can't believe I stayed. I'm not going to do that again. I asked them, what part of Category 4 did you not understand? It's hard for people to associate what wind speed is. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we show people what 145 mile an hour winds do? Now I can say, hey guys, this is what we had for Ida. We're going to expect the same thing. And people say, okay, well, we probably should leave. But in 10 years or 15 years, the people that were 10 years old for Ida will be 20 years old. Right? They're not going to remember, all of that.
But me and you both covered a lot, and I can honestly say after Ida, I saw more people go through like a PTSD situation where, I promise you, they got another one in the Gulf, they going.
Just hearing generators right now makes me have PTSD.
You're right. Right. The other day when we lost power in the city, and I went home and it was pitch black, the thoughts that were coming through my head, the same scenario when we were going to jump in the pool to bathe and doing that, it all comes back. But you're right, it's generational.
That's
we
correct.
will remember it, but if we don't have, and we don't want one, But if we don't have another one like that, the ones in diapers today, I remember all the pine trees that were falling for Ida. When I sat there and I started doing a little research, I went, these are the pine trees that were planted after Hurricane Betsy. They passed pine trees all around Houma. People planted them, they grew up. Those were the pine trees that were falling on everybody's houses. I remember saying on TV, no more pine trees, plant cypress, which bend.
Right.
Pine trees snap, and they come down heavy, but we live and learn.
Yeah, and I also, tell people now, like when when we didn't have electricity the other day in the city and people that's a good time to start thinking, okay, hurricane season around the corner. What do I need to do to get prepared for hurricane season? So use that as an opportunity to prepare.
And that's for everybody. Our generator didn't kick off because the brand new batteries we had purchased were bad, and they just didn't hold the charge.
Right.
But you're right. Maybe automatically think, we got 2 or 3 months to get ready because we may be out for 2 weeks again,
I tell people this also, if that storm would have passed 30 miles to the west, would have made landfall 30 miles to the west of us and along the Chafla River, we would have had severe flooding in this parish because of the storm surge. I know we have a levee protection system, but it's only to a certain height in certain areas. Until we can get it to where we need it to be, we still have some chances of getting some storm surge.
Yeah, and we have redundant levees too, which is
That's correct.
I remember covering it for Katrina and Rita and had film crews on the levees where it was overtopping. This time around, I didn't have it, and I'm going, people go, well, you must miss covering those levees flooding. I'm going, are you kidding me? I own property here too.
The levee system has been awesome for us and for our local officials and the people of this parish to tax themselves to build this protection system is a great feat because there's other parishes that don't have that. You take Cameron Parish, for instance, there's no protection for that parish.
Yeah, it's coming though.
Oh, it's coming.
The new governor said, Gordy's on the CPRA, said, I want levees all the way to Lake Charles.
Yeah, the good thing about the levee system now, it gives me a demarcation point.
Yeah.
I know that outside the levee is going to flood, and we know how far it's going to come up. Before we had the levee system, you didn't know how far the water was going to come up Shrimpers Row and Dulac.
Yeah. They only had potato levees back then.
That's correct.
Let me ask you, we've got a couple of minutes left. You know it flies.
Yeah.
What do you do for fun?
I love sports. I love LSU sports. I do a lot of travel to LSU football games and go to the home games, and I do that. And then I like to read magazines, not really books, but
still reading Boy's Life.
No, I don't have a Boy's Life anymore. But I do that, and I love spending time with my family. I have a son that's 30 and a daughter that's 26. My son lives in Covington, and my daughter lives in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Yeah. So as many times as I can, I go visit them, or I try to get them to come home because I love them being at the home. And I love spending time with my friends. We have a couple that we've been going out to eat together on Friday nights for 30 years, over 30 years, every Friday night.
Cool.
And we really enjoy doing things with our friends and our family.
If I were able to get a bunch of people together, the parish president you work for, if I could bring Clifford Smith back down, if I could, Keith Whiteside, get him in a room, get your wife, kids, get your friends and say, I got to give you one word that describes Earl Eues. What would you hope they would come up with?
I would hope that they would say he was very happy during most of his lifetime. That, when we saw Earl, he was smiling, and also he was always there to help people that needed something.
Earl, I appreciate what you're doing for the parish. I've enjoyed our relationship. I hope I'm not calling you as much as hurricane season, because we don't need to chat during hurricane season.
No, we don't. And I kind of tell people that a lot, too. That a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, I saw you on TV, or I see you on HTV, and most of the time I tell them, if you see me on TV, it's probably not a good thing right now. So,
Earl, thank you so much for what you do. Keep up the great work.
I appreciate it.
All right.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
This one-on-one program has been brought to you by the law offices of Waits and Downer.